I think people are picking answers from the Google AI overviews to traditional organic search, and then they're going into deeper research into Google AI mode.
What's your individual personal journey with AI, your exposure, your experience, where are you in your journey now, how you're using it with respect to the services you offer, etc.?
Interesting how people are talking about AI as this brand new thing that came out from the woodworks. And
Hema Dey is a Forbes top 5 AI leader and fractional CMO, best known for creating SEO2 sales, a process that blends AI-powered SEO, predictive search intent, and storytelling to turn visibility into revenue. As CEO of Iffel International, she helps B2B companies and CEOs align branding, strategy, and sales for profitable growth.
so I would say that my experience with Google has been a continuous journey of learning since the launch of Google and now the metamorphosis to LLM technology and generative engines.
I'm actually curious how many people are really thinking about that yet. I would suspect that it might be a little premature for vendors to see the drop quite yet, but I think it's coming.
June 30th was Google's massive core update this year, and this is when they roll out AI mode. I think right now people need to...
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the AI for Business podcast. I am your host, Jeff Torello. My guest this week is Hema Dey. Hema, would you like to tell the audience about you and what you got going on?
Oh, I don't know, Jeff. I think it's just so good to be here on Sinjin. Hi, everyone. Hema Dey here. Love being a fractional CMO and love everything MarTech, and ready to dig into some juicy stuff with Jeff here.
Sounds like you have plans, juicy stuff going on. MarTech. Tell me what MarTech means.
You know, it's interesting you asked me that question because I've been talking a lot about how this fancy word has just emerged from nowhere. It really stands for marketing and technology. And for the longest time, that's what I've been doing. It's nice to have some kind of fancy name that goes with it now. MarTech. So I'm at the intersection of marketing and technology and bringing solutions both strategically, but also with technology, which is now the backbone, right, of everything.
Right. Yeah.
To create that combustion of sales and revenue for companies and growth.
So I don't know that there's a right or wrong answer, but I'm curious if you would suggest that MarTech is bringing marketing as a technology to customers or clients and having them look at it in a similar way that they look at like the internet or at AI as a technology, or is MarTech, maybe it's both, the technology of marketing? In other words, this is how we define and describe how marketing operates, the description and et cetera. Which one of those or both of those is MarTech to you?
Well, to me, Jeff, it's very simple, right? We've got one avatar that we need to please and please them really well, and that's the customer or the prospect.
Right.
So the tools and technology that we deploy to bridge marketing, which is the exchange of demand and supply, needs to really be easy enough, not fancy, but easy enough so that you can create that wonderful customer journey, and be it CRMs to operational tools that work with the CRM, ERP systems. I see them all intertwined really because in today's environment, we've got a split second to really create that combustion of revenue. But number one is to create that customer journey and experience to be top notch.
Okay. Makes sense. Do you consider yourself to be in a particular vertical, or in other words, are you working with customers in a specific, I don't know, make something up, retail or e-commerce? Like, I don't know. Do you do that, or is it you're kind of servicing everybody everywhere? Are you specialized or not is what I'm trying to ask.
Very specialized. My background is in manufacturing and tech. So I hailed from New Zealand, Jeff, beautiful place, and grew a lot of tech companies there internationally. So really comfortable in the B2B space in manufacturing and distributors, but also in the professional services area.
Okay.
I think at that B2B, the service sector in B2B has huge potential.
All right.
Huge potential. People like lawyers, accountants, software developers, agentic AI folks, the list, marketing folks too. And I think that the service sector is quite often forgotten because a lot of people are distracted with consumer products that are out there, right?
I agree. Although I will say my opinion, just there's no right or wrong here. And there's no facts. It's just my opinion. But I think services are stronger in the B2B side. There are certainly, like homeowner services or independent services, right? Whether that's like a massage or whether that's, someone who paints houses. That's still service, but the marketing for that is a little bit different, I would submit, because you're trying to capture that audience that's, again, the homeowner or the individual, whereas the B2B market is a different market and usually exists in different places generally. Also, I think the B2B market is massive, and that, we'll take a house painter just as an example. You're not going to probably drive 4 hours to paint a house. It's not generally an ROI that you want to chase after, right?
No. I think you're 100% correct. It's not just an opinion. The B2B sector is huge. And I think people who sit in that sector see it, but those from the outside looking in don't really see it that way. But I can confirm that this back 10 years ago, it was 2 to 3 times the size of B2C already. Now it's exploded even more. And with at the intersection of AI coming in now, and you see things around tariffs and everything else, the service sector has huge opportunities that can be tapped into.
We don't want to get too deep on this particular podcast, but the tariff thing kind of scares quite a number of people because there's a lot of up in the air, don't know, not decideds to it. And uncertainty it stops deals from closing. It stops customers from committing. Uncertainty is not good
Right,
in,
exactly.
in, in
Yeah.
this environment, right? So, not the desirable methodology. Let's talk a little bit. Theoretically, the podcast is about AI, so let's try to do that. What's your individual personal journey with AI? Your exposure, your experience, where are you in your journey now? And then I want to talk about how you're using it with respect to the services you offer, et cetera. But start a little bit with you yourself.
Speaking engagements, Jeff, it's interesting how people are talking about AI as if it's this brand new thing that came out from the woodworks. And I mean, people forget that Google has been an AI all along, right? And so for the last, my company is almost 20 years old now. I've been with Google pretty much for that length of time. And so I would say that my experience with Google has been a continuous journey of learning since the launch of Google, and now the metamorphosis to LLM technology and generative engines, which is generative AI, right? So the metamorphosis, I think, it's brilliant. It's getting smarter by the second. And to be quite frank with you, Jeff, I'm excited as a marketer who understands tech, because this is truly a time where you can't BS the system with keyword stuffing. You can't BS the system with buying backlinks from a farm in Vietnam. And may the best folks out there who ooze the right content strategies win. I love it.
You didn't know that you triggered a visual for me, but I saw you said a farm in Thailand, and I was like, a rice paddy? What are they going to do? I had the wrong thing in my brain, but I totally get it. But I was just like, I got lost for a second. But that's because I'm weird. Have you yourself been using AI outside of what you do from a B2B perspective, just from your own, for maybe helping your own decision making or doing research or any of that things? Or like, I guess the better way to phrase this question is, how much individual research do you do now that's still a Google search versus an AI request?
Let me answer that question in a different way than the norm. I don't pick one lane, right? I see all the LLMs, all the platforms as my board of directors, and I ask them questions and see what I get and cross-check them. So there's a lot more critical thinking going into my work as opposed to research, because the research and the data is done in milliseconds, depending on the prompts that I write for my work, right? And ChatGPT to Grok to Meta to Perplexity. Google AI mode is also another one that I use. Now, DeepSeek is another one. It's a reasoning intel with the AI that they built. So I think we're at a stage now we've got to, there's a saying, curiosity killed the cat. But I think this one is curiosity is going to make the cat more hungry.
One thing you said in there that I really want to follow up on, you said you kind of use it more like almost like a board, and you ask for a variety of opinions. Are you doing that with like your prompting at once? You are these three things, answer together, or are you independently how are you structuring that?
Good question. I've tried them both using centralized platforms where they can talk to all the engines and give me the answers. But I'm at a phase right now where I'm enjoying doing it in silos just to see whether I'm getting a different response. And I'm enjoying that a lot better right now with the work that I'm doing. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. Have you played around with making a persona of a couple personalities to test the, do you know what I'm getting to here, where you can actually sort of instruct the system, I want you to play these three roles and then ask questions interactively. Have you done that?
Yes. I
Yeah.
do it
Okay.
every day. I do it every hour, actually.
Every hour?
Well, I have so many cases that I wanna know what conversations are happening out there, right? So I can either, ask it to act as a market researcher or act as the CMO, act as the client, as the avatar that I'm trying to understand who to target. So absolutely, that's part of the market research that I used to have to guesswork this whole thing. I mean,
So
this is like magic for me.
do you, so structurally from that sentence, I'm assuming that you think a lot of pieces have become easier, but there's still a crux in there that I suspect hasn't much changed. So I want to see if we can talk about that a little bit.
I think sometimes you'll get data that you think, well, that looks a bit weird, or that's not right. I think as humans, as smart as these engines are getting, these AI platforms are getting, I think that I'm a skeptic. So a lot of my clients have very specialty services and products. And so that's why I say I use them like a board of directors because I want to see what conversations are happening out there on each platform. What it's search everywhere. It's gone from search engine optimization to search everywhere optimization, which is why I created SEO to sales, right? I need to understand where that magic is going to happen between a problem that's happening out in the marketplace and a solution that my client can provide. So that magic problem to solution is what I'm trying to get from these prompts, right?
At the moment, do you have a sort of favorite model that you think is giving you the better responses or maybe answering more accurately the things you're asking it? Is there a somebody in the lead?
Yeah, I have to say I do like ChatGPT 5 a lot.
GPT-5? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I do, and, I'm not gonna discount Google. I think Google AI mode is brilliant as well. So if I were to go there as my first 2, that's like it sets the hypothesis for me for the rest of the other engines. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. One of the keys that I think is a little misunderstood about GPT-5 is that there's a router component to GPT-5 and it looks at your query contextually and tries to find the best subservient model underneath GPT-5 to send it to. So if you ask it a question that requires a little bit of research or sort of thought processing, it'll send it to a thinking model. But if you ask it just a general knowledge, probably part of its training data set question, it'll fire that off to a very fast responding, sometimes a mini optimized model to get you back a very quick response. But rather than you, the user, having to pick, oh, I want, DeepSeek R1 versus GPT-4, whatever. It's trying to do that routing for you and it's trying to be smarter at that. In some cases, my experience, I've found it to be pretty good at if I give it enough prompt context, right? If my prompts are good enough. But if
Right.
I'm a little shoddy in my prompting, it's worse than a prior model because it's trying to route and it doesn't know where to route it.
Exactly. And you know what, Jeff, you're saying something that's very dear to my heart because I think more than anything now, the skill set of the English language and is super critical in writing prompts. English language and then the logic from input to output and then crafting those prompts is the skill that the human has to have. There's a lot of talk about job losses, but I think that I was just speaking about this at a keynote, the young ones with spelling mistakes and the inability to actually craft sentences now, they're going to have a problem. I think English I hate to say this, the English majors are in for a good ride, but they've got to be able to write those prompts very, very clearly. In saying that, something like Perplexity now is a marriage between ChatGPT and Google AI mode. And so, it's getting smarter and smarter. And then DeepSeek is the first reasoning AI platform. So it's getting smarter. But I think as humans, we need to be able to give the instructions. Let's call it that. Give the instructions with clear prompts to GPT-5.
There's a whole movement that's been around for, I would say, probably 2.5 years now called prompt engineering. And that in the last 6 months or so, maybe a little longer, has morphed into context engineering, which is really an outgrowth of prompt engineering. This backs into just a little bit of history. Google spent 25 years inadvertently teaching us to be keyword prompters, which is great if the database that you're querying into is a keyword-based system, which is Google. But when you're doing a semantic search, which is what a prompt into an AI is really all about, it's to get technical for a minute. The AI understands the meaning of the words and is searching its system for like meaning, even if the words change, even if the keywords are different, which is so opposite of what Google has trained everybody to do for 2 decades plus, right?
Right.
So if you prompt the AI like you search Google, you will get pretty bad results. You'll get something, but it won't be good. If, on the other hand, you go back to what Google trained out of you and you make full, complete sentences and in some cases paragraphs, depending on what you're looking for, you will get such better responses from the LLM. Just to really summarize that, right? The shorter your prompt into the LLM, the worse your result set. But the longer and more detailed and more filled with factual relevance you can put your prompt into, the much better result set you'll get from the LLM. And that's prompt engineering.
I agree.
Right. And
Wait.
it's been shown that like you get dramatically better and more accurate results.
Without a doubt. And I think this whole notion on keyword research is secondary. I'm coaching a lot of SEO technicians, so I'm probably in paralysis mode right now. Real paralysis mode, because SEO is not about keywords, it's about conversations and search intent. And I agree with you 250%, Jeff, that this prompt engineering based on context is so important. And use the keyword research as a guide, but that's not how people are searching anymore.
No, they're not. In fact, what's really interesting, some of the frontier models like a GPT-5, Claude 4, and I think you'll get this from Gemini 2.5 Pro, I believe. If you ask a question that your question's detailed enough and it's obvious that you're asking about a current event or something relatively recent, the models will now flip to a web search mode and they'll go search for a result rather than only relying on their training data, especially the GPT-5 router guy who definitely knows, oh, wait a second, you're asking about something that happened this week. I don't have that in my training. I'm going to go look it up. But your prompt now becomes the search query. But what a lot of these AIs are now doing is using an AI search engine and not Google's regular keyword search model. So things like Exa, Perplexity, etc. There's many. I don't want to pick a particular one. These are now working off semantic searching instead of keyword searching. And sometimes, I don't know if you've seen the same result, but from my perspective, I've seen way better answers than a Google search.
Jeff, I was presenting to a group last week, and the truth is GPT-5 is a fast rising platform for many consumers and users. And one person actually stood up and said that ChatGPT-5 is now their soulmate. So, GPT-5 has captured the hearts of many people, the ones that are open to trying out AI, obviously, and they're educated and they're having these very deep conversations on GPT-5. I mean, to the point that they're sharing very personal information. So I see GPT-5 now being a library of conversations to the point where we need, as content creators ourselves, that we need to be creating enough content there to answer those questions or worries or problems or challenges or pain in a structured way so that they have enough to latch on to say, go see Hema or go see Jeff as part of a conversation when they say, I'm so sorry you're going through this. I see LLMs as referral partners,
Yeah,
buddies.
they're going to be. I actually think that, I'm sure you've seen this, but the concept of search engine optimization, SEO, is now changing into things like AI optimization, where you're optimizing the site, you're creating instead of a robots.txt, you're creating an LLMs.txt, right? And
Right.
other things. I know you know all these details, but helping the audience where you're giving the LLM a lot more content specifically for it to crawl on your website, your products, your capabilities, etc. That may or may not just be in your pages and may or may not be the SEO'd pages that are keyword specific. I've been saying to friends and other folks that I work with in the AI space that my prediction is we'll know when we've sort of reached the crossover point with respect to AI-driven search versus keyword search, when Google's homepage default becomes the AI answers instead of, right now it's sort of a hybrid guy. But when Google basically says, yeah, keywords aren't as good, you guys should take the AI response as the first response, I think it'll be a pretty big indicator for everybody that we've shifted and we've crossed over to this world of semantic searching as the default.
I would say that it's already happening now, Jeff. I think people are picking answers from the Google AI overviews over organic search, the traditional organic search, and then they're going into deeper research into Google AI mode. That's already happening, and then we're seeing leads coming from ChatGPT, and there are a lot higher value clients coming in, and the closing rate's much higher, right? Because they've already had that conversation. They're now, and ChatGPT is actually referring my clients in now as the hero, as solving the problem.
I agree with that. I actually have shown a number of friends like a Perplexity result set versus just a Google search.
Yeah.
And the idea of Perplexity, for those that don't know, is it's a combination of a semantic search and a keyword search, but it includes pretty detailed reference material for how it answered your question. It answers like an AI answers with a lot of context, but it usually includes 3 references of here's where I got this from, and sometimes it'll be a picture showing where that web page. It's just a little more. I would say it's the next level of search results that we probably could have been getting if there was competition the last 10 plus years, but we haven't, and now we're starting to see that. Perplexity's UI is really driven for a human, but there's also a Perplexity API that allows agentic and other, system to system sort of interactions, but you still get that same really rich result set. And that's, I think, what you're getting to on the other end of this is that making a website SEO become AI aware and giving the AI enough useful context that when a user searches inside of an AI, they get back super useful detail about your product, about your services, about your website, about your company. That's where we're going.
I talk a lot about what you've learned in the last 2 decades with Google, and now like we're talking about keywords and stuff like that. And then we've got to now unlearn a little bit and then relearn the kinds of conversations that people are having out there as opposed to those keyword research. And when we craft content, it's not just content for the sake of it, but it's content to answer those questions that are happening on LLMs, right? Your website now may not get a click, okay? Right? So you want to use EEAT, which is a Google mantra, really eat. You need to get expertise, experience, authoritativeness, and trustworthiness. If you go back to yesteryear, which is probably when we were in school, when we wrote an essay, our teachers made us have little citation notes at the bottom to prove that that's where you got it from.
Yeah.
And so LLMs want proof now. They don't want you to keyword stuff. They don't want you to just put backlinks from some farm in Vietnam, a backlink farm. The one thing that I say to my team now, Jeff, is that let's really ooze quality content, not quantity of content. The trick now, Jeff, is that as marketers, we need to be able to articulate the prospect's problems better than they can.
I'll add on to that my thoughts. I agree with what you're saying. I think part of what is going to happen is you need to also articulate what the prospect's searching for with this large prompt in the LLM with this instead of a keyword. So it's similar to what's always been, right? Identify the problem, demonstrate how you're the solution to the problem, all those things. Okay, no change. But let me expand a little bit on what you hinted at, because I think it helps the audience to just think about it a little bit differently. So if in the past your idea and your objective was, I want to get clicks on my website. In a world where you're using an agentic AI, and I'll describe what that looks like for the audience. But today you go to ChatGPT, you ask it a question, it answers the question as best it can. Sometimes it asks for additional clarification from you. You give it more details. Maybe it searches the web, it gives you back an answer. Maybe it gives you a link. Who knows?
Yeah.
In an agentic structure, usually what you're getting is you ask a question that's a little bit more complicated. Sometimes you're asking what eventually becomes a task. The agentic system now has access to tools, a variety of different tools that do different things, and it goes off and performs autonomous actions on your behalf,
Right.
makes decisions, does things. Okay. Now let's put you in a purchasing scenario that's using agentic instead of the current model, which is you search for a thing, you click a link, you go to the customer page, and you buy.
Yes.
But in an agentic model, you could probably say the following, and I just want to paint a scenario, right? So the first thing you could say is, please find the top 3 product X, whatever, right? Symbols. It doesn't matter. Available, online. You can specify vendors or you can not specify vendors for less than this price point. And show me the 3 vendors and show me some images from their website. Click, click, click. They show up. And then you can say, okay, buy the cheapest one. And technically, the user may not even interact with the website at all. And if the agent is configured correctly, this is a little bit in the future, but this is not far in the future here.
In a lot of cases, it is here.
Yeah. I mean, if the agent's configured with the buying credentials that are necessary, it can execute that transaction in the back end. And your idea about a click becomes more of a agentic interaction and not a website click.
Yeah, you've literally have, I said a board of directors, you've got an executive assistant too and a shopper for yourself.
Right.
And I think that's where, my prediction is we're all going to have our own AI agents, the Jeff agent and the Hema agent, and agents are going to do the work for us in the name of giving us better work-life balance.
The idea that everybody has a Jarvis like Iron Man, maybe they don't call it Jarvis. I know that, Apple has a vendor they'd like for you to pick to do that. So does Google and so does Microsoft. OpenAI would like you to choose theirs and on and on. What everybody wants is they want to push you into what we refer to in the industry as a walled garden. And that's a place where you don't leave. You hang out and you do all your thing, right? So like, let's just paint this picture a little bit thicker, a little deeper. You have your preferred platform. We'll call it Platform Z. You go to Platform Z and you have an agentic chat. And inside your agentic chat, inside of Platform Z, you've got your personal agent. And that agent has your history and your memories that you've given it, you've told it to remember, and your preferences. I like aisle seats. I don't like window seats, or whatever it is, right?
Yes.
All of those preferences have been expressed, not necessarily like you're being interviewed, but as you've interacted, as you've booked a flight and said, aisle seats, by the way, remember that, right? That sort of simplistic structure.
Yes.
But now, over time, the more you use it, the more you invest in this platform, the more this agent's better suited to do the things you want it to do and to do them autonomously. Here's the problem. Are you really going to leave and go to a new agent and have to retrain it and give it all your memories, and you're going to want to export it, but if they don't let you...
No, you know what's going to happen? You're going to use that trained favorite agent to do the searching on another platform.
For everything.
Yeah.
For everything.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
What I see happening is the number of people going to vendor websites goes down dramatically.
Mm-hmm.
The number of agents doing all that work for them goes up exponentially.
Right. But there's a huge mistake people are making in saying that websites are not important. And what they forget is that you do need a place to host your brand, to control your brand, to control your messaging, to control the content that you are generating that is so unique and answering those questions out there. The other thing is websites are mini AI agents too. People forget that.
Yeah. In fact, I think that's what the websites turn into.
Yeah.
I don't think websites go away. I think that they have their existing, we'll call it a UI, but then they have, whether it's MCP servers or whatever that structure ends up being, they have this AI agentic on-ramp that's not necessarily the website and the web page, and maybe you don't need to make it look pretty, but it has all the content and all the detail and the branding and everything else necessary, because that's where a lot of people are going to start shifting their traffic into.
The word is schema, Jeff.
Schema is good. Yep, right.
It
I
really
agree.
needs the right schema so that the LLMs can read your content efficiently. Make sure it loads fast because you can see the speed of how the LLMs work.
Yeah,
And so
exactly.
if you load slow, it's gonna say bye-bye. The part that I'm trying to really help educate business owners too is that don't just pick a website that looks pretty. Yeah, it needs to look good, but it's gotta have the right translator.
I'm actually curious how many people are really thinking about that yet. I would suspect that it might be a little premature for vendors to see the drop quite yet, but I think it's coming. I think the traffic is going to go down,
Getting June 30th was Google's massive core update this year, and this is when they roll out AI mode and everything else.
right?
And I got the calls.
Oh, that fast?
We're invisible.
Yeah, we're invisible.
My
Yeah.
business is down, and so, for those who are really close to the pulse of leads and what's going on, they see it. They're definitely seeing it, and I feel sorry for some folks because they've gone on the path of lower cost options with websites. I think right now people need to unlearn what they know about websites and relearn what kind of website they actually need, right? So that you can build those knowledge graphs for LLMs.
To an extent, a little controversial commentary, but I actually think that the website model we've been using for a while, the idea that, getting yourself ranked on the first page of Google is the key to all sales and profit. I think that model has been ripe for change for quite a while. I don't think that model's been around a long time. And I think what we're seeing is that AI, especially agentic driven AI, and the overall switch to using the chat structure versus a search engine as you're on road is really, really, really going to have that impact. As you're saying, people are already seeing it. I don't think everyone will go in one fell swoop. There'll be AOL just shut down their dial-up last month.
Did they? I didn't hear about that one.
Your first thought was AOL still had dial-up? Like,
Yeah,
what?
like, really?
But apparently there were people to the summer of 2025 still using dial-up somewhere.
Oh, wow.
But, that the tail of that curve, that graph, is really, really, really small.
Wow.
And I suspect what's going to happen is there'll be people who are still browsing and searching with, not moving over to an agentic model anytime soon. But there's going to be a lot that do.
Well, Jeff, if you look at the generation, the story there, the oldest Gen Z is now 28, oldest millennials 44, the oldest Gen X is 60 this year, and then 61 being the youngest baby boomer. In about 3.5 years, we're going to see retirement happen for the boomers, and then followed closely by the older Gen X's. But these Gen Zs and millennials, some of them are not already gone off Google. Okay. So, and some of them have disposable income to be great prospects, buyers out there.
Right. But you got to get them on TikTok because they're not using search, right?
Or YouTube, right? YouTube's still owned by Google. Thank God.
Yeah.
We have one consistency there.
Yeah, but for how long?
Yeah, exactly. So Google's done a lot to try and defend themselves of recent times. Ever since ChatGPT came out in 2022, they're mimicking their YouTube algorithms to mimic TikTok as well. They've created the short form videos now that everyone's going crazy with. My kids, 10 and 16, they're on YouTube Shorts, and my 16-year-old's on TikTok as well. But TikTok's interesting. I don't know what the verdict's gonna be for the United States to keep them. We talked about uncertainty earlier. This is another uncertainty that's going on. So I think there is some truth that YouTube's giving that stability right now.
I hear you. I also think personally, again, back to an opinion, I think the problem is exacerbated by this shorts or TikTok limitations or Instagram Reels limitations from an attention span perspective.
Yes.
That makes the overall idea of finding a prospect, getting in front of them and getting a message across even harder.
Yes, it's dropped from about 12 seconds to under 3 seconds, Jeff.
You can hardly do anything in 3 seconds.
Well, that's why as content creators, we got to get so laser focused on that engagement point, which is really what when you get engaged is when you actually empathize with what articulate the problem better than your prospect can in
Yeah.
under 1 second. And that's what a good marketer is doing right now.
Yeah, but how much can you actually impart in under 1 second?
Jeff, you'd be surprised.
So,
It's getting quietly ridiculous, but quietly fascinating from as a marketer. I love this kind of challenge because this is true marketing, Jeff.
you don't think that less than 3 seconds content is noise?
It depends how you craft it.
I'm not suggesting the person creating it is creating noise. I'm just suggesting that the volume that's out there is already to the point where I think there's a lot of noise.
There is a lot of noise, and that's why when you engage with the truth and build a trust currency around the brand and the problems that you solve,
In
right?
3 seconds.
Under 3 seconds. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a heck of a stretch. Just, you know,
And guess that's another element to this. It used to be 8 touches. It's now more. And if you're selling something that's $10,000 and more,
hmm,
the touch point is 23 touches now.
23 touches of 3 seconds or less in order to make a $10,000 sale.
Yep. That seems to be the rule of thumb right now. Right now. I'm not saying it's going to be the
No,
same tomorrow.
as soon as you said it in the podcast, it's out of date. I get it. I'm just asking. What about an under $10,000 sale? Is it less touches?
If it's a commodity item like consumer base, I think I'm still seeing the 8 touches, but 16, 32, and repetitive piece and building that trust. That's why brands, I'm not talking about the big brands like Nike and Apple. I'm talking about our small little brands and building the trust to rise above that noise. It's so, so important, right? And how do you build that trust? This is where the site, that's what I think people are going to love Perplexity, the citations, having good content out there to actually say that this is the authority on this matter. I work with a lot of doctors and lawyers, Jeff, right? And they need to show, we need to, as content creators, as their marketer, I need to prove to the world that they are the best in litigating probate, litigating construction disputes, litigating a medical malpractice case, right? So
Okay.
content is not blah, blah, blah. It's case study based. It may be media relations out there that show like they are on key journals that are talking about, for example, we have a doctor that does peripheral artery disease, and he's a vascular surgeon,
Okay.
right? I'm not a surgeon, but I'm taking snippets of where the problems are out there. A person that's having leg cramps for 2 years and not being able to get an answer to why they're having leg cramps, and they're in the retired age, they've smoked all their life, they've been drinkers, they're diabetics, and they've gone through all kinds of things. Doctors have said they have neuropathy, but they don't. They have peripheral artery disease, which is where maybe the little toe or the big toe has a blocked artery, and actually open up this artery, the smallest artery ever, and then your leg cramp goes away. But he's got to be seen. We need to build that trust for that doctor. Need to really ooze the educational piece out there, right? And really win him over with the hearts of those people having conversations about their leg cramps.
And that's going to be more than 8 touches.
Yeah, that's 23.
Yeah, but also that's a relatively small audience.
You'd be surprised it's not that small. It's diabetics predominantly and males and some women. But the trick now is to build that confidence because vascular diseases are not really talked about openly, right? You hear snippets of it. So that's why we
I
need
mean,
to
it's not a
break.
trending TikTok article about.
No. And it's hard to put it on TikTok too, Jeff.
Yeah, no kidding. I wonder why. Hey, check this out. Nobody wants to see that. No, thank you.
No, a lot of them have wounds as well, Jeff.
Yeah, right. Nobody wants to see that. Thanks very much.
Yeah, but when you're dying in your chair there and you can't walk, you start to see things.
Yeah, right. But everybody else is like, I don't scroll that. Get rid of that. I don't want to even know that.
Right, right. So yeah, so it really goes back to, people talk about, I want to grow my company. I want to grow my company. I want to grow my company. Only way you're going to grow your company today and with all the noise is to really answer problems and challenges people are having out, right? People don't react to preventative. You do some dancing, but that's about it.
For a short amount of time, right?
Yeah, a real advocate that people don't have time nowadays, Jeff, right? They sit and scroll on their phones, but they don't have time. Okay.
They don't have time because they're scrolling on their phone.
You gotta give them what they want. So you gotta articulate, almost like be a clairvoyant and give them, oh my God, I was just thinking about that. Articulate the problem better than they can. That's what I'm trying to say.
I
Yeah.
was just thinking about my blocked artery. How did they know? It was Hema. Hema put that in front of me.
That's right.
Now I have to call her doctor. See? Look at you right here. You're pitching it. We're going to make a short out of it. Going to see it on TikTok in just a few months, folks. Just wait.
You won't believe what happened actually. Can I tell you another story?
Yeah, good.
So I work with doctors, as like I said. So this podiatrist, she's a surgeon, and she came to me about 5 or 6 years ago, and she was paying some marketing agency that said they did healthcare work and got website SEO. Phone didn't ring for about 6 months, and I stood in her office and I said, Doc, you amputate feet but you also do other things like, wound care and stuff like that. But what can I get you visible for out there that patients come in, you treat them, they absolutely have to pay you. She takes Medicare, PPO, and cash, right?
Right.
She's a high-end doctor. And which one's going to make you the most profit?
I know the answer to this one already.
What is it?
Cash.
Well, cash, yes. But what procedure?
Ah, the procedure. Hopefully not the amputation.
You see, that's where your mind went with the first time round.
Yeah.
You're going to say, get me all the wound cares that are septic and,
Right.
and I'm going to make a lot of money profit on surgery and amputation. And she went and did the numbers with her CPA and whoever else, and they came back. They said surgery was the worst case scenario. She's in blood for 5 hours and then she's got all these patients to come back to. She said, Hema, get me visible for ingrown toenails.
Really?
Yeah. And so we went down that path. In 3 weeks, her phone was ringing. Jeff, I kid you not, I studied every possible buyer behavior, patient behavior around ingrown toenails, from the beginning stages to septic stages. Those who went to a nail salon to get treatment and then got into gangrene. And I created an ecosystem with unique content back then with
Okay.
SEO, right? Keyword research and the works. And in 3 weeks, her phone was ringing. So I'm saying to people, go back to your P&L. Look at what's going on in your P&L. It's a real pulse of where your profit centers are. And then craft your priority settings based on where you want to go with your business model. And it's funny, Jeff, because I told a story around the world at different keynotes, and people call me up and say, Hema, I still don't know what my ingrown toenail is.
Yeah, right. Well, look, I think that's it's like the perfect thing to end the conversation on because it's the right closer. But the simple concept is find the thing, whether it's your unique selling, if it's your USP or not, but find the thing that you can go be known for, be noticed for, get visibility with, that will be valuable to you, like you're talking about, and push on that. And once you have those clients, you may be able to sell them other things depending on what your business is. Not everybody with an ingrown toenail wants an amputation. You never know.
Well, that's when the doctor has to play the role of being
Exactly. No, I know.
Yeah.
But the concept is super valid, and I think it's a simple concept that people ignore. How do I sell all my products to everybody? Why don't you try to find one product to sell to a lot of people and do that first?
And especially with they don't have the budgets for it too. They want to do it all, but they go like, I don't have money.
I want to do it all, but I want to do it for $100.
Yes.
But come on, you're Hema Dey. You can do it.
Yeah. But Jeff, LLMs are truly resetting this landscape for search everywhere optimization. And it's exciting times. I think people shouldn't worry about it, but they need to get into this unlearning and relearning mode. Make sure that you got the right recipe.
I would agree. I don't think people should be worried about it. I think people should be paying attention to, hey, there's a learning opportunity here. There's more work to be done. and the game is changing, and you need to react. You don't have to be afraid, but there's changes that you'll need to implement, because if you don't and you stay that way for too long, you'll fall right out of the window.
I'll share something else too, which is happening right before my eyes each day, is that if you are from the traditional SEO world and you sit as a manager and you have team members, younger team members that are coming to you saying this is all wrong, we shouldn't be doing keyword ranking reports anymore. You listen to them and be receptive to what's really going on today, or you're going to be out of a job.
Yeah, or your clients
Yeah,
will go somewhere else.
right.
It's another option. If
Yes.
you're an SEO house.
Right. Exactly.
Hema, it was great talking to you. I think it was really informative. I learned a whole bunch.
You did? Well, I love talking with you, Jeff.
Anyone that knows me knows I'm a bit of a nerd on a lot of things, so I can have that conversation a lot. You can see in the background, there's all sorts of things that can be talked about, but
Yeah.
it was good. It was a good conversation. I think the audience will really enjoy it. Thank you very much.
No problem. Thank you for having me on your show, Sinjin.ai.
Thanks a lot.